Hi everyone, my name is Henry Walton from Outsell, and got Richard Walton, my brother and business partner here. And this is our sort of micro series about the truth about B2B sales, delivering you quick, short nuggets of wisdom about what's working in B2B sales right now. So today, Rich, we're talking about the kind of dangers of ignoring the gold in your pipeline. What does that mean to you?
So in B2B sales, particularly anything that has a high ticket item, what that means to me is that when leads or prospects go cold, ignore you, ghost you, that doesn't necessarily mean that's forever. Ignoring them generally means to me, I see clients putting them into drip campaigns, thinking that kind of automated email is going to do the job. If they are a great ICP fit, and you've got a really good match, then for me it's worth occasionally spending time and effort on them. It's a hard one, and it's a hard one because I think a great salespeople know that the most valuable asset they have is their time. So no definitely means no, and you need to move on. But I feel that it's worth running sales intelligence reports. It's worth keeping an eye on potential other indicators that might allow you to reach out again in the future. And I think what we do at Outsell is the way that we treat cold leads or opportunities, they're already in your pipeline, people that you've had conversations with, is putting them back into kind of prospect nurturing. Treating them like could be a really good value opportunity. So it's been a lot more strategic and paying time and attention to those cold opportunities that have gone cold in your pipeline. However, I think the key thing to be really careful of here is they've got to be a great ICP fit, and they've got to fit your overall strategy. If they do those things, then it's well worth paying time and attention to them, because as we said on an earlier episode, these aren't just prospects, they're engaged prospects, and they know who you are. So there's probably a higher chance of conversion in the future. That's what it means to me.
I've noticed something in every single client that we work with, is that basically people, they love to leave stuff in their pipeline, right? And you look at their pipeline, shows you, and it's like, wow, we've got 10 million, in our pipeline. But they'll actively only kind of talk about or work on about 10% of it. It's the new deals. And it's an interesting kind of behavioral thing, because we leave stuff in the pipeline because it makes the pipeline look good, right? But it's actually much harder to go and disqualify it and say, in this pipeline, what is actually dead in the water? You said about saying no, which ones are actually no? And what about the other ones? And they don't get talked about in sales meetings ever. There's never any kind of strategy about what we're doing them. As you said, most of the time, worst case, they're just left, nothing happens to them. And I think best case, most of the time, the companies that we look at, maybe they go into a drip campaign, but they never get talked about. So there's an interesting, I think, conversation around talking around the whole of the pipeline, how you disqualify, and then having the time actually to focus on the ones that still have some chance of closing within the kind of 6 to 9 months. Out of interest, why do you think this happens? Why do people ignore the gold in the pipeline?
Because they don't know how to go back to people.
100%. Yeah.
And they don't want to keep, quite rightly, sending emails saying, just checking in. Hey, has anything changed your end? Hey, we've got a new product or service feature. Those things don't work. They literally don't know how to go back. So a critical part of this is, and as we've shared on previous episodes, you've got to know how to go back to people. You've got to know how to keep that conversation alive. And that's all about adding value. It's about building relationships. And if you keep that right, then you can keep going back as much as you want to.
I think there's two other things, which is one, there's often a lot of bad quality, opportunities clogging up the pipeline. Again, because people let stuff in because it feels good to see it in there. But there's ill-fitting ones, they probably know it a lot of the time. And then the other part is I've seen is poor discovery. So sometimes it's quite hard to re-engage with old opportunities if you don't know what the actual issue was, or you don't know why they went cold. Or are they really saying no, or are they saying no, not now? Was it the wrong person? So I think there's also a part in there about actual sales process, really, really good discovery, how you capture that information as well, so that if there is a chance of meeting them at a conference, you can actually remember what was talked about, especially if they're really complex deals with lots of stakeholders.
Yeah. Well, I think you've just said something which will be a great topic for another session, which is what actually is good discovery. So we'll talk about that in the future. Thanks very much, everybody.